The April 22nd, 2025 regular meeting of the Everett Public Schools Board of Directors is hereby called to order. We will begin with the land acknowledgement. Director Robolinski.
We acknowledge the original inhabitants of this area, the Stahubs, and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, gathered on, and taken care of these lands and waters. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. In Everett Public Schools, we strive to create equitable outcomes and build a culture of inclusive belonging for all students, teachers, staff, and community.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and unless you are in uniform, please remove your hat.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the secretary please call the roll?
President Mitchell,
Present.
Vice President Herman,
Present.
Director Revelinsky,
Present.
Director Atkins,
Present.
Student Representative King,
Present.
Student Representative Cover-Rubius.
Present.
Thank you. That takes us to section 5.0, adoption of the agenda. Dr. Saltzman, were there any changes to the agenda after it was published?
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair. There were two changes to the agenda. Item 11.02, approval of the personnel report. Once for additional personnel changes and the second time to correct dates. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the meeting agenda being adopted by general consent? Seeing none, the agenda is adopted by general consent. That takes us to section 6.0, recognitions, which is our favorite part of the meeting, and this is the March Core Value Champions. Ms. Weinberg.
Good evening, President Mitchell, Board of Directors, Superintendent Saltzman, and student representatives. Thank you for the time tonight to celebrate our March Core Value Champions who are in this room, some of them. We are highlighting the value of diversity. So each school in our district has chosen a deserving student to honor, but some of them were chosen to come here today, and we are excited to have them here. So we are going to have the principal from each of those schools introduce their student and explain why they were selected. Recognizing their students today in this order will be Dr. Jessica Gideon from Madison Elementary. Then we will have Allison McGregor Forms from Monroe Elementary, and we will wrap up our amazing recognitions with Sarah Idle from Evergreen Middle School. So principals, once you're done recognizing your student, if you and your student could just wait over here, and at the end of all three of our recognitions, we are going to get some pictures, and families, you are welcome to come up and take pictures as well. So right now, I will bring up Dr. Jessica Gideon.
Good evening, Board of Directors, Superintendent Dr. Saltzman, student representatives, and members of the audience. My name is Dr. Jessica Gideon, and I have the honor of serving as the principal of Madison Elementary School. I'm proud to be here today to recognize one of our exceptional students as Madison's Core Value Champion for Diversity, Evie. Evie was selected for this recognition because she consistently fosters a classroom environment where all students feel seen, heard, and valued. She takes great pride in her Filipino heritage and loves sharing stories, traditions, and cultural insights with her classmates. Her enthusiasm and cultural pride not only enrich our classroom conversations, but also spark curiosity and appreciation for diversity amongst her peers. What truly makes Evie stand out is her genuine interest in the lives of others. She frequently asks questions, thoughtful questions, about her classmates' backgrounds and expresses curiosity about the cultures of the characters in the books that she reads or that her teacher reads. This leads to meaningful dialogue and builds a strong sense of community in the classroom. Evie models what it means to lead with empathy, openness, and pride. She is a role model and a true ambassador for the value of diversity at Madison Elementary, Congratulations, Evie. I am so proud of you.
And can we meet Evie, unless she's too shy?
Hello, everyone. Board of Directors, Superintendent Saltzman, student representatives. My name is Allison McGregor-Forens. I am the very proud principal of Monroe Elementary School, and I would like to introduce you to Aviana Gaudreau. Say hi. And she sparkles. Aviana embraces and celebrates every individual in her classroom community. She's taken it upon herself to get to know every single one of her classmates in her kindergarten class, in Mrs. Moody's kindergarten class, and know them on a deeper level, and she is a friend to all. She advocates for others' needs and interests when the opportunity arises, and every day makes every student in her classroom feel special. And of course, as you see, Aviana always sparkles at Monroe. Congratulations.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Sarah Idle, principal at Evergreen Middle School, and I'm there to serve all of our students. And I looked forward to this all day. This is one of our students who just shines in a variety of ways. And I'll just share one anecdote before I get into the comments that all of his teachers generously gave. They all responded immediately to the email and wanted to contribute. But we like to announce excellence at our school, and we had a 7th grade assembly, and we had a slide for Laver that shared some of the high points of him getting this award. And as soon as the slide came up, every single student and every single teacher in that audience started cheering for you. And he was sitting there just, oh my gosh, but everybody was so happy that you were getting the award. And every single one of his teachers also provided input, so I wanted to share some of that. So Ms. Fredrickson is math teacher. Laver is an exceptionally kind student, always willing to work with any student or group of students. He is accepting of others and always makes other students feel included and respected. Mr. Stack, his elective teacher. He helps keep his buddies focused and working while still maintaining a high level of excellence for himself. I enjoy talking about projects with Laver as he is receptive to feedback and offers his own ideas readily. Laver is an example, an excellent influence in the halls as well, helping to get himself and friends to class on time while maintaining a chill, easygoing attitude. He is one of my favorite students. Ms. Bruskus, your science teacher, said, Laver Hernandez is an exemplary leader in his own way. He is readily available to help other students, always willing and able to ask questions, advocates for all his classmates, and willingly moves to any table group I assign him. He shares great thinking and shows positivity, leading by example. He is a quiet leader that lifts up all his classmates. He is someone that I feel honored to teach. Now, I want to tell you that there was a bunch more that each teacher wrote, but I've kind of squeezed it down for time. Ms. Qualley, your language arts teacher, I can always count on him to offer help to students in need, no matter who they are. Ms. Shipe shared, Laver is a delightful young man who cares deeply about his classmates and teachers alike. He treats everyone with respect and looks for ways to encourage others. And finally, your art teacher. Laver truly earns this award based on his own merit. Every category that students are measured in, Laver excels. Laver comes to school each day prepared to learn, bringing with him a growth mindset, a thirst for learning, a willingness to help others, and of course, his joyful smile that lights up any classroom. Laver encourages others around him, not just his friends, but all classmates and even his teachers. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Really great job. Really great job. Good? Good?
That was great.
Congratulations.
And then families, you're free to leave if you wish. We appreciate the audience, but it's a beautiful evening, so go enjoy it. Okay, that takes us on now to section 7.0, the superintendent's report. Dr. Saltzman.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Board of Directors, and thank you to the public this evening. And again, congratulations to the students. Exceptional. Before I give my report, I just want to announce that Jackson High School Robotics are the world national champions.
World
Okay,
champion.
they are the world champions, also won their national tournament. So you get to be twofold tonight, but thank you for that correction. They are the world champions. Okay, but now I'm going to give you my report to the public and to for the district's happenings, so the public's aware. I want to begin by sharing that we are in our annual budget development cycle. Right now, we're just days away from the end of the state legislative session, pivotal moment for our community and for all communities, as decisions in Olympia directly impact our funding. Once this session ends, we will prepare a draft budget for the school board review in July, with final approval expected in August. I want to compliment the outstanding budget department of our district for your prudency and fiscal excellence. From that point, we will implement the budget with the start of the fiscal year, make adjustments in the fall as we begin enrollment and revenue projections in the winter, and seek input from our fiscal advisory committee. I want to thank those that are on the fiscal advisory committee because they've given us exceptional input. By spring, then, we will be back where we are today, finalizing a budget with the most current information. It is a continuous and collaborative effort process that takes place year-round. Just doesn't happen in the spring or the winter. This is a year-round, and this is why we're successful and we have strong fiscal management by the team. So I want to share that with you as legislative session will soonly end. And also now we begin achievement season. Between April 14th and June 16th, our students across the district will be taking part in state assessments. Students in grades 3 through 8 and grade 10 are participating in the Smarter Balance Assessments, which you might hear of are known as SBA, for English, language, arts, and mathematics. Students in grade 5, 8, and 11 are also taking the Washington Comprehensive Assessment of Science and WCAS. These assessments are not just about compliance. They are important tools that help us understand how our students are progressing through the school year. I want to make sure that student learning takes place from September when we open the doors, next year will be August, to where we are now. And that great tribute to our teachers and entire staff in our district that help our students learn, and to our parents, thank you for your support. These results provide valuable information for families and for staff to see how our students are doing system-wide, and how do we adjust any curricular needs that we need to adjust during the year. So we're very excited for that and very proud of our students. On April 1st, I don't know if you're aware, but I'm going to make you aware tonight, we officially broke ground on the brand new Jackson Elementary School. The new building will replace the original building that stood since 1948. Thanks to the community support of the 2022 capital levy, this $54 million project will bring students a modern and accessible space designed for today's learning needs. I want to thank our school board and our community that attended this event. What a great turnout on a beautiful day that was to start the process of the new Jackson Elementary School. So we're very excited about that. The new school year will open in 26-27 with brand new Jackson Elementary School. And then before I close tonight, I want to invite our community to one of two upcoming events that will take place, the Let's Connect events. They will be on Wednesday, April 30th at North Middle School and Tuesday, May 6th at Heatherwood Middle School to learn about the planning underway for the 2026 school bond construction, or school construction bond, however you'd like to call it. But we want you to have the input to share and to hear, and we all in a collaborative mode as we enter for the fall. So I hope to see everybody there. I want to thank the public tonight for being here and look forward to a great board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. This takes us on to section 8.0, or board and student comments. I'll begin with Student Representative Covarrubias.
Hi, I'd like to share that it's Earth Day, so honestly, it's honestly been really like calmed down, like everything's going very peaceful, and honestly the main thing going on are the special events, all the fundraisers, this dance is going on, and we also have the ASVAB happen today, and as Dr. Saltzman mentioned, the walk-as happening in May, and I think that's it. I mean, I also like to share that I think it was amazing that we had our spring break later in April. I feel like that helps make the year seem faster and also gives us something more interesting this year.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, it's good to see you all. Hope you guys are enjoying the nice weather, which is usually my sign that the school year's kind of wanting to close. Although us high schoolers have one final roadblock until the end Trillion site, which is AP exams. So for the next week and for the last couple weeks, we've been super busy studying and cramming, especially those high achievers that take a ton of AP tests. So definitely a busy time, but we've still had time to have fun. We last week we had a multicultural night, and there was like food, performances, dances, displays, and one of my favorite events at the school, and it's just a great opportunity to display all of our diversity and unique cultures at Jackson and the district. And also senior prom's coming up soon, which I'm super excited about. Ours is pretty early this year on May 3rd, so we have some time to celebrate before graduation. And like Dr. Saltzman said, got to give a huge hand to the Jackson Robotics team. This is a multi-year effort. You know, I was on the team for a couple years, and there's been years and years of students who've come through and helped support and build this team to what it is today. And I think it's very deserving that they got their shot at the World Championship and won it all. So just like to give another hand to them. Congrats to the robotics team.
Yeah, I don't have too much to report on my end. I had the wonderful opportunity to attend the interviews for student representative at Cascade High School last week, and that was just a really fun opportunity to see just so many of our up-and-coming student leaders, and I'm really excited about who will be joining us next year. I also had the opportunity to attend a summit that OSPI's Office of Native Education held in Pullman, Washington, the Tribal Leaders Summit on Education, where I just got to sit in on a wonderful chance to learn about issues relating to Indian education, and a chance for tribal leaders to share just thoughts on how to improve Indian education with our state superintendent, Chris Reichdahl. And then, of course, this morning, and I'm sure others will have more comments about this, I had the wonderful chance to attend the Everett Community College Foundation breakfast. And that will be it for my reports.
Thank you.
Okay. First of all, congratulations to everybody across the district that won or even did a good job. In terms of diversity, I think it's our last core value, but it's certainly not the least. I think our diversity in Everett Public Schools really makes us stronger. I had the pleasure of attending the Jackson Elementary School groundbreaking ceremony too, with my little one actually, after parent-teacher conferences at Penny Creek. Guests spoke passionately, including the mayor and others, but I think it was the students that stole the show. They spoke with enthusiasm about what grade they'd be in when the new building was finished. The community really showed up. It was a joyful event, and the cookies were good too. The audit exit conference was a point of pride for me as a previous auditor. The results were impeccable. A clean opinion on our financial statements and performance audits. There were no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. Kudos to everyone involved at all levels of the district supporting strong, effective internal controls. Finally, I was really stoked to see the gift from Blue and Gold in the consent agenda. As it happens, I also had the pleasure of attending the auction, the Everett High School auction, which was organized in partnership with their PTA and the Blue and Gold. The community was out in full effect, spirited and extremely generous. Relationships in our community go way back. There were alumni from the class of 1952 in attendance, which is an awesome reminder of how many people, past and present, continue to give so much to support students. And I'm honored to take part in that with all of you.
Terrific, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to piggyback on what Student Representative Kink talked about, the multicultural nights, which are in full swing this time of year. I had the opportunity to attend Heatherwood's Multicultural Night, and then last week Jackson High School's Multicultural Night, and these continue to showcase the wonderful diverse cultures we have here in our school communities. And I was also reflecting on how these events have evolved over the years, and to include different elements of cultural awareness. Two tables I wanted to call out at Jackson's event. The astronomy class had a table on cultural cosmos with a theme of math and science of cultures around the world to explain astronomical phenomena. So how different cultures contributed to the understanding of the universe throughout history. So that was interesting. And another display was from an art class that had done cakes from around the world. I think some had seen those. I was a little disappointed because when I saw them looking down on the annex and even getting up close to them, I thought they were real. They were so realistic and so well done. And each explained the cultural background of the dessert. So each school is doing their own slight variations on these cultural celebrations. It's wonderful to see, and I love that we're celebrating diversity. And the talent from the students in the cultural performances is truly remarkable. I'll be at Cedarwood's event tomorrow night. I think there's 4 events tomorrow night, and the calendar for those is on the district website. And then thanks for talking about the audit exit. Kudos again. That is part of our board goals in regular monitoring of the district budget and fiscal status, which is on the agenda tonight. And so this is part of our work. And again, just well done to the team. And then over spring break, I had the opportunity to be a guest speaker with the Institute for Parent Leadership and Advocacy, hosted by Washington Family Engagement. This is a course for parents who want to become school and civic leaders and understand how the education system works. Washington Family Engagement is a nonprofit that encourages parent and family involvement in schools, and they recently celebrated 10 years in their work. In Everett, we've had hundreds of parents and even some staff go through their program. So just a big thank you to Washington Family Engagement for continuing to promote parent engagement in our schools. And then lastly, just a shout out also to the Everett Community College Foundation, all their work, and the college itself. I left this morning just feeling very grateful for the strong partnership we have with them. We're lucky to have them in our community. They're doing great work. That's it.
Thank you so much. And I will just be really brief about the Jackson Multicultural Night, because I learned to say hello in Vietnamese with a very patient student, and then I immediately forgot how to say it. So that's just the nature of adult learning, I believe. While my husband and I couldn't stay very long, we did really stand on the top of the landing. The nice thing about the way Jackson is built, that we can look down on the event, and we both really enjoyed watching all of the family interactions, student interactions, and especially so many students in traditional dress versus that's not how they look every day. Spoke to one teacher who actually said that he's very happy to be living in the state of Washington with the support of Superintendent Reckdahl of all of our DEI efforts and protecting our students and teachers. So I thought that was a really nice compliment to our efforts and Superintendent Reckdahl. And while I am pleased at our audit findings, I have been up here and complained about the previous audit findings related to the connectivity grant during the pandemic. They wasted so much time and kept changing the rules. We appealed to the FCC and recently received a letter that we did everything correctly. If we did not have that FCC letter, we would have had millions clawed back. While we are thankful for the FCC findings, I feel that we are vindicated that we did the right thing for our students. I just wish it hadn't taken so much of our staff's time with the previous year's findings. I would like to share my deepest thanks for Miss Tress and all of the staff for all you did to protect us and protect what we did, because we did the right thing for our students. So I want to say thank you to you and everyone. Sorry to get that off my chest. That takes us to public comment. Dr. Saltzman, is there any request for public comment?
I believe there's an online speaker tonight.
Okay, thank you. The school board sets aside 15 minutes during regular board meetings to hear from our constituents. We do this because we value public input and want to hear and understand the perspectives you bring to the table. Each speaker has 3 minutes. As board president, I have the responsibility to ensure that our board meetings are conduct district business in public. We do this in an orderly, productive, and respectful manner. We welcome ideas and opinions presented in that same manner. Thank you for helping me with this responsibility. The entire board welcomes you to this public meeting. It is important that you understand how this portion of the meeting is conducted. You are online. Your comments are being recorded, so the board will have access to everything said tonight. The public comment part of the agenda is for the board to listen to what is being said and not for debate or discussion. Board members do not respond to individual comments. And so I thank you, Jared, for bringing forward Ms. Briles. Amanda Briles, if I'm saying that right, is a resident and parent of the district and has requested to speak to the board regarding environmental sustainability and Earth Day. And I believe you should have a 3-minute timer at the bottom of your screen. If not, we will cut you off at 3 minutes with apologies. So please begin.
Okay. Good morning. Good afternoon. My name is Amanda Briles. I have a kid at Heatherwood and one at Mill Creek Elementary. I'm the Environmental Sustainability Chair for the Everett Council PTSA. I am on the Sustainability Advisory Council run by Larry Fleckenstein. And I also worked on the legislative priority that Washington State PTA submitted and was voted as an accepted legislative priority to lobby for bills addressing climate change. And I'm also a member of the Everett Green Schools Working Group. On behalf of these organizations and myself, I wanted to say Happy Earth Day. And I wanted to thank you so much for your continued environmental sustainability efforts. I see your efforts every day and throughout the district, and they are making an impact, and that impact grows every year. Thank you for creating the Sustainability Advisory Council. I have been on it since it was created, and I'm very proud of the feedback that the council has generated, and it has been incredibly interesting to learn so much about the district's sustainability efforts through it. I am excited to be part of it next year also. Thank you also for your close ties to the Everett Council PTSA. We value that relationship highly. I am working to support sustainability chairs in each school who can increase our sustainability efforts in education. Thank you for your support of the PTSA. And finally, I wanted to say how excited I am about in-school composting, both as an environmentalist and as a gardener. I really love to see it. I know efforts are still ramping up and practice will definitely help as the kids get used to it, but my kids are already more willing to compost food at home now after seeing it at school. Above all, I want them to have a cleaner, greener future with access to fresh air, clean water, and the beauty of the natural world. Thank you so much for your efforts to ensure this, and Happy Earth Day.
Thank you. That takes us to section 10.0 legislative updates. Director Ovalinsky.
Okay, I have a tickle in my throat, so excuse me.
Okay, do you need some water?
Okay, sorry. Thank you. Okay, so today is day 100 of the 105-day legislative session, so we're kind of in the final stretch. We're entering the final week before adjournment, and budget negotiations are moving quickly, but largely behind closed doors. Lawmakers are currently proposing $1.2 to $1.4 billion in additional funding for public education across the state. Most of that would go towards special education, MSOC, and levy support. One thing that we do need to keep a very close eye on is a change that could present cash flow issues to school districts because of a delay in apportionment funding from April to August. And as for special education specifically, Senate Bill 5263 passed the House unanimously. This bill eliminates the 16% enrollment cap. It also increases the special education funding multiplier to 1.16, and it lowers the safety net threshold for districts. Expect to see a final budget within days, with adjournment set for April 27th, and I think I'll have a lot more substance next time after we have a final budget, but that's where we are today.
Okay, thank you. That takes us to section 11.0, or the consent agenda. Dr. Saltzman, have you had any questions about a consent agenda item?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Directors, and the public this evening. In the case of this consent agenda, the Superintendent's Office received no questions regarding the consent agenda.
Thank you. First, does any director wish to remove an item from the consent agenda and place it in the new business section of the meeting? Seeing none, is there any objection to adopting the consent agenda by general consent? Seeing none, the consent agenda is approved by general consent. That takes us to section 12.0, strategic progress monitoring, and there is none for this meeting, which takes us to section 13.0, information and discussion. And Mr. Fleckenstein, I think you're beginning with our 2024-25 progress report for annual board goals. And when I read this, I think we've all been busy.
Well, good evening. President Mitchell, Board of Directors, student representatives, and Superintendent Saltzman. Tonight I will be presenting the mid-year progress report on the board's annual goals. And for our public, these are the goals that the school boards has developed for themselves, which were developed and finalized last August by the board in their August summer workshop. These goals were utilized the WASDA Washington School Board Standards, of which there are 5, as indicated on the left side of the board goals document. This report reflects the work of the board and their collaboration with the superintendent and his staff on the progress on meeting these annual goals. As you can see, much has been accomplished so far this year under the board and superintendent's leadership. Although tonight's report is only a mid-year draft, the final board goal report will be reviewed by the board in their August summer workshop. At this time, no action by the board is required this evening, but rather it is an opportunity for the board to discuss the report as presented. And with that, President Mitchell, I turn the meeting over to you.
Yes, are there any questions or comments? Feeling tired like I am. I think actually it's a joyful tiredness, so thank you. And we'll look forward to the summer one.
Okay.
You get to step down for a moment.
Yes, I need to figure out how to get that menu back. There we go. Thank you.
Yep, okay. And that brings us to Ms. Tress with the March 2025 financial report.
Thank you, Board of Directors, Dr. Saltzman, student representatives. Tonight, I will be providing a brief update on the March financial information for the 24-25 fiscal year. As we've seen in previous presentations, tonight we will go over the general funds, the five major comprehensive funds for the district would include the district's general fund, its main operating fund. We'll discuss its enrollment, revenues, expenditures, and fund balance, along with the 4 other comprehensive funds, which include the capital projects fund, the debt service fund, the associated student body fund, and the Transportation Vehicle Fund. Along with today's presentation, in tonight's consent agenda item is a detailed report providing additional information related to the March financial information for this fiscal year. As I mentioned, we'll begin with the district's general fund, and we'll talk about the district's overall enrollment. This enrollment reflects the student annual FTE, which is the annual average student FTE, which is the number of students counted in those seats at a specific day averaged over the fiscal year. I want to highlight that we anticipated to be higher enrollment than we did than what was presented during our budget, which has been reflected in our updated revenue projections. I also want to note that we are also seeing trends overall growing from previous fiscal years, and we're not quite back to our enrollment related prior to the pandemic, but we are growing, and we do anticipate in the next few years to be at post-pandemic enrollment as a whole. When we talk about the student FTE, we typically talk about, that differs from what we typically talk about, which is student headcount, which is the students counted on our October 1st headcount information. Just something to note as we look at our monthly trends for the past 3 years in this fiscal year, we see an increase in February, and that increase is driven by our enrollment related to our transitional kindergarten program as we start that program mid-year as well. Moving on to the district's overall revenue projections, we're projecting revenues for about $410 million for this fiscal year. Really no changes from our February projections. Again, as I mentioned previously, enrollment drives a significant amount of our revenue, over 60% of our revenue, and we update our information and assumptions based on our trends as a whole, and we're not seeing significant changes from prior years. And as you can see on the monthly trend line, our revenues are following typical patterns from historical perspectives. Most of our state grants have been awarded, and we know the final amounts, but we do have state and federal grants have been awarded and know the final amounts, but we will have some fluctuations with them based on claims or based on some of the final grants that we don't get allocated until the end of the fiscal year. Looking at overall projected expenditures for the general fund, we did anticipate a slight increase from February projections of just under $100,000 for the year, and that's really driven by an increase in our material supplies and operating costs, offset by a decrease in our anticipated staffing expenditures. That reflects our actual expenditures. As we look at our monthly trends, again, we don't see typical patterns when it comes to our monthly expenditures as a whole, as our material supplies and operating costs are processed weekly, and some months have 4 weeks or some have 5 weeks to process. I do want to note March was typically higher than what I would typically see at this moment in time, and that's really driven by a timing of when we received some of our running start program invoices, so we paid them earlier than we have historically. So I do anticipate April to actually decline more than we typically see for next month as well. Looking at overall projected fund balance, we are anticipating a higher than budgeted fund balance as a percentage of total expenditures of 8.3%. Our budgeted adopted was 7.5%, but really no changes from our February projections as a whole. Our monthly fund balance trends are really following normal patterns. We have an increase in fund balance in October, and that's driven by our property tax collections, and we'll see that increase in that April timeframe as well, as we collect the majority of our property taxes in October and April, driving the overall increase and decrease of our fund balance for the whole. As we move on to the 4 other comprehensive funds, I'll begin with the Capital Projects Fund. The Capital Project Fund supports our outstanding capital projects, which include modernizations of facilities or overall capital projects, as well as technology projects. The major revenues for our Capital Projects Fund are primarily driven by our levy, our voter-approved levy from the 2022 levy. Appropriations are aligned with our multi-year project plans that were approved in that 2022 capital levy. And as you are aware, and as we mentioned tonight, Jackson Elementary had its groundbreaking in this month as well. So we'll start to see a significant amount of expenditures come through in the capital projects fund as we continue to work on that project and get our vendor invoices related to that construction work. With a levy, we have to build up fund balance to support those larger projects. And so that's why we're seeing a larger than typical fund balance. And we have two major elementary school projects coming in this year and for next year. That's driving some of the increase in our capital projects fund. But as a whole, the fund balance is sufficient to support the projects remaining from the capital levy. Looking at the district's debt service fund, this supports the district outstanding debt for principal and interest, and it will fluctuate based on anticipated bond principal and interest payments. The fund balance is sufficient to support the remaining outstanding debt for just under $70 million that we have remaining, and we've seen a decline as we've been paying off that outstanding debt. And at this moment in time, we don't have any voter-approved bonds, so we haven't anticipated an increase in that fund balance until voter-approved bonds are approved. The Associated Student Body Fund supports student activities and athletics. And as I've mentioned previously and in the past, that fund balance really increases in that fall timeframe and declines as the remaining of the end of the school year. That increase is driven by ASB card sales from the students, yearbook sales, and other major fundraisers that happen at the beginning of the years for the students. And then as they utilize the dollars for those fundraisers, we'll start to see that fund balance spend down. Looking at the monthly trend, this fiscal year is following fiscal year patterns from previous years, and so we are seeing a decline in that fund balance. And we're working to develop the budget and our presentation here soon for the next fiscal year. And then our transportation vehicle fund supports district-owned vehicles. We do have 2 buses on order, and we're still anticipating to receive them this school year. And so as we go through, our revenue is based on the aging of our vehicles, and we anticipate about $379,000 for this fiscal year. The remaining of our transportation funding is actually through the district's operating fund, the general fund, as we actually contract out our busing services, and so that's supported under our general fund. Thank you. Questions?
Are there any questions? Yes.
Thanks so much. I really appreciating that we have these regular updates so we can digest everything. Can you remind me on the SCAP funding, does that, applying for that and receiving that, is that after construction is complete?
That is correct.
Okay.
And then when we'll hold the fund balance of that remaining and spend it based on projects moving forward, but we don't have any coming in at this moment in time.
Right, okay, so we have the estimate of what we're anticipating.
Yes, so for this fiscal year, it's really levy driven.
Right, okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments, student representatives? No, thank you, I appreciate these, just like she said. So
And thank you for your comments and feedback on the audit report. I just want to highlight, it is not just our finance team that does all that work. We have all of our departments who manage a lot of that work, and we just help support them through that process. So it is a district-wide process. I just want to highlight that. It is everyone, all hands are involved from everyone at the school levels to the department levels as well.
Thank you for that clarification, because, I mean, it is the whole district. I think that was called out at the audit too, that the controls at the schools leads all the way up. So thank you. Mr. Fleckenstein, I think you're back with an update on the capital bond planning committee update. Sorry, as I stepped on my words.
All right, finally, we're there. President Mitchell, Superintendent Saltzman, Board of Directors, and student representatives. Tonight, I'll be going over an update on the recent activities and events associated with the Capital Bond Planning Committee that's occurred since the last regular board update on March 25th. And for our public, all the meeting notes of the Capital Bond Planning Committee and its resources that are provided to do this work is available on our capital planning website. We are halfway through the committee's actual work, and I'm excited to kind of share with you what's happened in the last two major events of the committee since we last spoke. But just to situate ourselves in the timeline, we are now in the month of April, and we have 2 meetings remaining of the Capital Bond Planning Committee, working towards that benchmark of producing the recommendation of the Bond Planning Committee's proposal to Superintendent Saltzman by June 24th. And our March 27th meeting, it's a milestone meeting. This is the meeting where we actually marry the long list of projects and work that is needed within the district, and also the prepared values of that work to begin to develop a bond package. So the work of the committee in this particular meeting, it was a lot of work, it was long, but they were thoroughly engaged and just a great group of people that have volunteered their time to help us put this, this proposal for the next bond together. We have a preliminary, the end of this meeting was a preliminary take on a rough draft of what that package would look like and the most essential needs from each team. Trying to narrow down the consensus of what everybody is seeing. Of course, there are differences between each team, but there were some very common similarities of needs around the district that each team was seeing at that point. The very next week, we went on a bus tour of 5 different facilities, schools within the district that are representative of the different aspects of projects within the bond committee. And the 5 that are there on your screen have significant projects or examples of major work or capacity and needs for space issues that exist in the district right now that the future bond package would be addressing. So down at the very bottom on the screen is a picture just outside our first stop, which was Cedarwood Elementary School. And looking at that particular site, it was an example of how many portables and the space and capacity needs that we have in particularly the southeast portion of our school district at the elementary level. We were able to walk the entire site and understand how portables are situated and then added to a site when we have increased student enrollment, but also understanding that we run out of space at some point for portables and then have to place them in places that are not necessarily desirable when it is necessary. In the upper left-hand corner is an example of the team when we were at Everett High School. That was actually in their vocational building and was in the health, choice program for health careers. You can kind of see it looks like a hospital room. It was interesting to see mannequins in never mind. But anyway, it was really informative for the team to see what that building and its needs look like, as it is a project on the list, in addition to the commercial building at Everett High School. And then on the far right, in the upper right-hand corner, this is an example of the team when we were at Lowell Elementary School. And it was important for the team to go see Lowell Elementary School. It was a project that was on the list for a lot of the process, the last capital levy that we ran, and continues to be an area of focus for the committee in terms of meeting the needs of that community. So they wanted to see it firsthand. We also took the opportunity to engage a broader scope of our community, not just the Capital Bond Planning Committee, but also we engaged the Family Engagement Advisory Council. And on March 20th, we engaged them in just a small snippet of what the Capital Bond Planning Committee is doing, which is to walk through an activity of our elementary schools to understand the connection between enrollment, permanent building capacity, portables, and the projected enrollment 10 years from now. And through that activity, the team worked diligently to understand what the needs of the district are. And although they aren't part of the Capital Bond Planning Committee per se, we did want to get a broader understanding of our community and our constituents to understand how we can better communicate with our public as we move forward with the bond planning process and eventually a bond package. And so some of the feedback that they gave us in terms of the most important construction bond topics to families, overcrowding and capacity was their primary topic that they think was most important for other families. You can see safety and security, aging buildings, and impact on student learning. We asked them also, what are some questions you think most people would anticipate wanting to be explained or have answers to? And they really wanted to know about the financial impact that a bond package would have on their family, the clarity on how their tax dollars would be spent, what are those projects, and the why behind the needs for running a bond at this in the future, near future. We also asked for their feedback on the best methodologies about how we can get information to them. And they were very adamant about the fact that the Parent Square app is working really well for them. So that was great to hear. And then in addition to our other forms of communication, email, text message, and social media. And then for effective communication, they did say that flyers and school newsletters, a lot of them read that on the monthly basis with their sharing personal stories related to the projects. They thought would be a very great way to help the community understand the needs and the projects that would be on a potential bond package. And then the key issues the bond would address with each of those projects. And so our next meeting is Thursday, which is just in 2 days. There we are going to continue to work on that list of projects and start to narrow it down. We also are going to go through the financial aspect of the package size and its impact on tax rate. And as you recall from the resolution the board passed, the tax sensitivity and being sensitive to the package and its size relative to its impact on voters was a requirement and a directive from the board that the committee consider in its work. So that will be in the next meeting. And then we have those two events, as Dr. Saltzman shared. We have two community events coming up on April 30th at North Middle School and May 6th at Heatherwood Middle School. They are 90 minutes in length and they're highly engaging. It's not a sit and get, so I hope people who are able to show up, you're going to learn a lot about what's going on through this bond planning work. And then finally, the last scheduled meeting at this point is May 15th, where we hope to develop a consensus of recommendation for the report to the superintendent. We will be back on June 10th to the board for the next update on the Capital Bond Planning Committee meetings and their progress. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all the engagement you've already done. Are there any questions or comments? Student representatives? Yeah, Director Herman.
Thank you. This is such a big project for the district, and this is ongoing, as we've talked about in previous meetings. This is something that just as a district we need to keep moving forward on as our district ages and as enrollment continues to grow, specifically in those areas that are going to be significantly impacted. So I guess I just want to use my time just to encourage people to attend those community events. And also another thank you for the Family Engagement Advisory Council, because that's one of the things about the Bond Planning Committee. They are getting up to speed, and I've heard really good feedback on the information that's coming, but people that aren't sort of having that course and getting all that information on a regular basis, how is this coming across to the public? So I think the communication aspect of this going forward is just such a key element that we need to think of. One of the notes I had down that I think we also have talked about before is not everything's going to make it on this next bond package. And for the public to understand that those projects that don't necessarily make it, we still are going to need to do a sort of an order of priority. And so that's going to be the next bond. And I know that obviously is what happened with Lowell. They've been sort of waiting. So balancing out that communication, effective and yet not overwhelming with everything. So thank you for everything you've been putting on the website and these events. And I really hope the community comes out for these.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please, sir.
To piggyback on Director Herman's comments, we definitely want the community to come out. It's going to be a very different meeting. We can promise you that. It's going to be, everybody's going to be engaged at that meeting. And it's going to be exciting and also informative. And I want to compliment the board and the team for the process. This process where we're going to right now has been exceptional. And how do I know it's been really good? I was with another superintendent last week, and they said your process leading up to this has been something that we're going to model in our district. So I think that's something that we have to share with our public about this process, and then at North Middle, and then in Heatherwood coming up after that. It's going to be a total engagement with our community. So we encourage people to come out because you're going to get a lot of information, but we're going to take a lot of information from you as well. So I think it's going to be a quite enjoyable evening as well.
Yeah. Any other comments? Well, thank you, Mr. Fleckenstein. That takes us to unfinished business, section 14.0. There is none for this meeting, which takes us to new business. Dr. Bowden, I believe you have 2 curriculums for us tonight, and I'll let you go through them one at a time. We'll make motions between them. That's correct. Action between them.
Good evening, and thank you, President Mitchell, Dr. Salzman, directors, student representatives, and anyone from the public. Thank you for having us here this evening to present to you our recommendation for the materials adoption for the elementary music curriculum. I'm here this evening with P5 Director Ann Arnold, as well as P12 Fine Arts Facilitator Ms. Tammy Kaufman, and we'll together be sharing with you the work of the adoption committee in this process and the team's recommendation to the board. At the end of this presentation, as President Mitchell has alluded, we will be asking the board for it to move for this recommendation forward to second reading in the next meeting in May. So without further ado, I invite P5 Director Ann Arnold to the podium to begin.
Good evening, President Mitchell, board directors, and Dr. Salzman, and our student representatives. I'm honored to be here tonight and appreciate the opportunity to share information about the elementary music adoption that has been in process all year long. So the purpose of this adoption process is to increase equitable access to resources to support student learning and to strengthen student wellness, engagement, and safety. We have all of our very clear school strategic priorities here, and the work is directly aligned with this. The adoption process that will be presented tonight supports the strategic initiative and strives to ensure access to standards-aligned adopted curriculum and differentiated core instruction for each and every student in Everett Public Schools. It identifies and removes barriers to authentic learning and presents high expectations for all of our diverse learners. And it establishes district-wide expectations for instructional time, master schedules, and course offerings, which is the whole point of adopted curriculum. So the priority student outcomes that this adoption process supports includes ensuring students are prepared to succeed in college, career, in college and career, reduce gaps in achievement among all of our student groups, and to strengthen student wellness, engagement, and safety. We are very directly connected and driven by our strategic plan, and you'll see throughout this process where this comes back time and again. So right now, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Ms. Kaufman, our P12 Visual and Performing Arts Facilitator, who led this adoption process over the last several months with the elementary music specialists who are part of every one of our elementary schools.
This is truly an exciting opportunity for our district. We are thrilled to be moving forward, as it has been many years since our last curriculum adoption. We have music textbooks from 1995 and 2000 in our classrooms, with an updated music standards introduced in 2017. The time is right for a new elementary music program that aligns with these standards and enhances student learning. We are deeply grateful for the chance to bring a modern, engaging music curriculum to our students. We developed a dynamic team that included 13 music teachers and administrators. We have some elementary music teachers here with us tonight. Would you please stand? We appreciate your support in this team. Thank you. We included collaborative stakeholders, including our learning information technology team, our community consultant, Music for Life, and our secondary music team, our secondary music teachers. We also included district administrators, Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Boughton, and Director of P5 Instruction, Ms. Arnold. We first had a process launch to calibrate understanding. We looked closely at our P12 music learning standards that include 4 anchor standards of creating, performing, responding, and connecting, as well as our specific performance standards at each grade level. We developed best practice research with support from materials from the National Association for Music Education. We also spent a lot of time discussing and understanding growth mindset and equity and access in music. We looked carefully at 21st century skills and found how essential they are in our music instruction. We used our deep understanding of music instruction to develop our elementary music vision, which aligns with our district's strategic initiative. Our music teachers developed our vision by aligning what music classrooms look like, feel like, and sound like across our elementary schools. And this is our vision. So in our music classrooms, students do the thinking. We foster an environment where students actively engage, create, take ownership of their learning, and develop a lifelong relationship with music. Our music adoption team followed the process and evaluated materials based on policy 2311 and procedure 2311P. As a part of the procedure, the team ensured that all instructional materials were evaluated and reviewed for content criteria. From our music vision and best practices, we added specific music criteria for evaluation. We evaluated for biased content, assessed for accessibility by special populations, reviewed for digital access, and we reviewed by staff members and our community members. Next, we searched for elementary music curriculum, finding several, most online with one exception. We also found out that not many regional districts have a recently adopted music curriculum. One local district uses Quaver music. We reviewed and evaluated each curriculum based on 2311 and 2311P, including music standards alignment, bias, and accessibility. We discussed at length the pros and cons of each curriculum, with our top 2 choices being Quaver music and Hal Leonard's Essential Elements music class. We conducted field testing and received community and staff feedback. Elementary music curriculum recommendation by the team is Quaver music. This was a unanimous decision by our music curriculum adoption team. Quaver music is aligned with our Washington State music standards and developed best practices. Quaver music is a very high quality curriculum. It has integrated social emotional lessons. It is diverse and culturally inclusive. It includes and focuses on Kodai and ORF-based methods. It includes comprehensive visual and performance tools. It has assessment and reflection opportunities for students, Quaver music also includes regular updates and is flexible. During our field testing, we received some great teacher feedback. Quaver music makes learning fun and interactive. Quaver music is based on music pedagogy. It offers a wide variety of lessons and activities that keep students engaged. Student feedback, it's so fun. I get to play games and learn music at the same time. I can make my own music and share it. And then this here is an example of an activity that was from field testing at Silver Lake Elementary. Let's see if I can.
Nate. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Do-da-ba-do-da-do. Nate.
We held a virtual open house and received stakeholder feedback following Appendix F and G. We used our Everett Public Schools webpage for our virtual open house. We invited the community and staff members to give feedback using Parent Square, Facebook, Twitter, email. We had significant input from the community with 53 people participating in the review, including those from Music for Life. Our secondary music teachers also gave feedback. Our community was thankful to provide feedback on our music curriculum options. And you can see the bottom quote there in orange. Thank you for the community. Thank you for the opportunity to provide feedback on the general music education curriculum options for elementary schools. And then another one of my favorites, Quaver contains quite a lot of age-appropriate music resources with clear classifications of Kodai and ORF pedagogies. This resource provides the most helpful starting point for any elementary music teacher. As you can see, the feedback was very positive in recommending Quaver music. All right, Dr. Boughton will discuss our implementation plan. Thank you.
So one of the things that we take a lot of pride in Everett Public Schools is providing professional learning and support for our staff as we adopt curricula. It's not a one and done where we give them the book and say good luck to you. We really want to make sure that our teachers, when we make an investment like this, we want to make sure that our teaching staff, our instructional staff have the support they need to not only implement it, but implement it well and implement it over several years. So we begin with an initial use training, and we do that in the beginning at the summer. We provide some opportunities in both June, again in August, and for anyone who can't participate in those months, we provide it again in September for them. This is a publisher-led training where that really focuses on the music standards, the scope and sequence, and alignment. As was mentioned previously, it's very important for us to have equity of access so that our students in the most southern region of our district and the students in our most northern region and everyone in between has a similar experience. Certainly teachers take latitude and do different kinds of instruction, but we want students to have similar experiences, so that coordination and alignment is key. We also, though, provide ongoing professional learning, and that's helping to create readiness to implement those units of instruction. So we may do the initial planning in the summer might encompass first units 1 and 2, and then in September and October, bringing teachers back together to provide additional scaffolding and support for units 2 and 3 or 3 and 4. The beauty of that model is actually it gives teachers opportunities to test things out, try things with students, and come back and dialogue about what's working well, what needs to maybe shift or change, what are some challenges with implementing that, so that we can maintain some support so they can continue to implement with fidelity. Finally, it's a blended learning experience. We've had lots of great opportunities to do in-person training, but we also have opportunities to provide virtual training. That gives us cost-effective and efficient ways of being able to communicate with publishers to do training and support. And it gives us opportunity that when we see something that we might need additional support with, we can provide some real-time intervention right there for staff so they can get the support they need. And then, of course, we do job-embedded professional learning. So that may be bringing PLCs or professional learning communities of our teaching staff together, sharing classrooms, doing some common observations, and really helping to create a network of support, not just from the district office, but also from one another. Their collegial experiences and support really offer some powerful professional learning for them as well. So with that, our curriculum implementation and costs, you can see here. The curriculum cost for Quaver, a 7-year total cost is a little over $240,000, which can be amortized over 7 years, which means it's just under $35,000 annual cost. There's a one-time instrument cost of $150,000 to ensure that all classrooms within the district have the appropriate instruments, making sure that they're able to teach the curricula that we have. And then there's a professional learning cost in year 1 of $40,000 that helps to support those teachers through that training and also working with one another. The license for Quaver includes regular updates, ongoing product training, and year-round support. One of the reasons that we look specifically at curricula that has digital resources and tools is that it's an easier place to update some of those. So if you have a content area that needs updating or something that might have shifted or changed, they can do that right through that digital process. And so it helps us to keep fresh and proactive around the content that we provide for them. The costs come to a total of about $240,000 for the full price. However, I will say one of the things that we do know is this is a budgeted amount, so we have the capacity to cover those pieces. And again, that 7-year subscription cost can be amortized over the 7 years of the time. So we really felt like this quote by Howard Gardner really captured the driving force of this particular adoption process. And it says, music is a gateway to our understanding how our minds work. It allows us to tap into multiple intelligences and gives children a voice when words alone are not enough. This is when we have meaningful, standards-aligned instructional resources and materials for our very talented music instructional staff to use to engage students in learning about instrumental vocal music, we can create an opportunity for our students to shine. And we know that for so many students in Everett Public Schools that has a robust music program, that we know that for a lot of those students, music is the inspiration that they may need to achieve and thrive. And ultimately, it helps us to close gaps, prepare them for a post-secondary experience, and engage them in school in a meaningful way. So we would invite the board at this time to ask any questions, or if you have anything you'd like us to clarify, we'd like to open this opportunity for you to ask questions and ask for those clarifications right now.
Questions? Director Herman, I saw you. Oh, let's go with Director Atkins.
Just a comment. I mean, going back to the age of those textbooks, I just think it's incredible that we have textbooks that are older than me.
Thank you.
Yeah. Director Herman.
It's hard to beat that comment, actually. First of all, thank you. And thank you to the music teachers, not only for being here tonight, but I couldn't agree more with the Howard Gardner quote. And it's a lot of work out of love. I know that you work with the students, and it's very much appreciated. The instrument costs, which instruments are being purchased? Because I'm thinking recorders when I think back to what.
That was actually also the first question of the committee I had. I said, are we buying a bunch of recorders? And they said, well, we're buying some. The beautiful thing about Quaver Music is that there's lots of opportunities for different kinds of instrumentation for students to engage in, to explore. There are some music classrooms that have sets of instruments now, and there are some classrooms that do not. So through this process, we will go through and identify what classrooms may need recorders. We do have ukuleles in our district. We have lots of different opportunities. And so it may not necessarily say, oh, we're going to buy every classroom a class set of this. It may be every classroom will get a class set of recorders. I'm sorry, parents, in advance. But we might also think about, like, how can we rotate instruments? So we're going to try and be very fiscally conservative and do what's needed, but we also want to make sure that all students have opportunities to engage in the curricula as it's written and as teachers can explore with it. So we have a pretty long list of what the needs are, and we may buy new recorders for some schools, and they may keep the ones that they have, but we're doing that inventory now, and we think that the $150,000 will cover the cost of that.
Terrific. No, that's fantastic. And thanks to the music teachers for working together. Maybe the ukulele unit is spaced out and then those can be shared, but that's fantastic. Also emphasizing the equity around the district. Yes. I know there's differences in that, and thrilled to hear that Quaver was a unanimous choice.
It's lovely when we have a unanimous decision, but I will tell you, having popped in on the adoption team, while there were 13 of the 18 elementary schools represented, this team really brought passion and heart to this process. They committed a lot of time, and I don't know if you're aware, but I can't imagine what it might be like to write sub-plans in a music classroom at the elementary level, but these dedicated teachers were here. They brought it every single time, and they really did a heart process for our students in this adoption process.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Thank you. Music is particularly important to me. I was surprised to see that there were 53 people. Like, that feels like a lot of engagement, and I'm just blown away by how much our community cares.
Yes, Director Revelinsky, I also was blown away, and I actually had to ask my staff, how many? Like a couple of times. It is not common for us to have that level of engagement, and it was quite surprising. And I would love to take some credit for this, but I have to tell you, it is the representatives here and their team who actually mobilized. They reached out to their colleagues at the secondary level and asked them to review and asked them to engage music booster clubs that they're affiliated with. We have amazing partners with our Community Music for Life program. They participated in that. And you may be aware, but Everett has a fairly robust music community who has a deep interest in the development of our performing arts here, and they also contributed. So 53 is a large number. It's unusual for an adoption committee to have it, but we were very, very pleased and honored to have 53 really great pieces of support for this recommendation.
Student representatives, any comments or questions?
I'm just trying to think back to my days in elementary school music, and if they were outdated then, I don't really want to see what they're like now. And honestly, the new curriculum and all the things you guys are doing for them looks great, so keep it up.
Thank you.
I have amazing memories from when I was a kid and all that music stuff, especially the ukuleles. And honestly, I'm really excited to see how you guys are gonna up it up more.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Director Atkins said it differently than I was, but just imagine all of the cultural changes that have happened in the past 30 years. Like, I'm a very different person than I was at 25. I am very much more aware of things. Music probably doesn't change. I mean, ukulele is still ukulele, but maybe some of the words, some of the context in the education, I mean, some of it might have been cringeworthy, and now it's not.
Well, and one of the things that the adoption committee was looking for was ensuring that there were opportunities for diverse cultural experiences. So often our music staff are called on or tapped to present at an MLK Day assembly, to present at a Veterans Day assembly. And this curricula has a lot of different options for celebrating in a wide variety of cultural ways. And that was one of the pieces that the team was looking for, and this curriculum meets that goal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay, so is there any objection to adopting this curriculum item by general consent for first reading? Seeing none, then we'll move this on to second reading. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I think you're staying up here.
I am. Thank you very much.
For the pre-calculus curriculum adoption for the first reading, and I think you already prepared us the other day that maybe not as much public comment for pre-calculus.
That is accurate.
Oh, okay.
So good evening once again, board directors. And this evening, we will also be sharing with you the pre-calculus curriculum adoption recommendation for you. As we've just had a previous recommendation that also had a lot of the process, we've truncated some of those pieces so that it's not as repetitive, but we will make sure that we highlight all of the process that we did engage fully in. If there are any questions, we will take some at the end if we've missed anything for you. But this evening, I have a team of people here with to present the pre-calculus curriculum adoption recommendation. I have 612 instructional director Callie Spear and secondary math instructional facilitator Kathy Trosvig. And together, we're going to share with you the work of this adoption team. And again, at the end of this presentation, we'll take some questions and then ask for the board to move this forward to second reading. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Mrs. Callie Spear to the podium to begin us off. Thank you.
Good evening, President Mitchell, Superintendent Saltzman, Board of Directors, and student representatives. As Dr. Bowden shared, I'm here to share with you the pre-calculus curriculum adoption. The purpose of the pre-calculus adoption is to increase equitable access to resources to support student learning. We want all students who take pre-calculus to engage with the same standards-aligned materials that support updated best instructional practices in mathematics instruction. Throughout the adoption process, we anchored our common understandings in the Everett Public Schools strategic plan and student priority outcomes. Our work closely aligns to two strategic initiatives. First, identifying and removing barriers to authentic learning and high expectations for diverse learners. As we explored different materials and strategies, we connected back to the work of this initiative. Second is the district-wide expectation for instructional time, master schedules, and course offerings. Pre-calculus is offered at the 3 comprehensive high schools and at our online high school. Through this process, we want to ensure these courses provide the same learning outcomes no matter the school or teacher. Within this process, we closely tied our work to the student priority outcomes. The team connected to ensuring students are prepared to succeed in college and career as the anchor point for the committee work. While pre-calculus is a college-level course, the adoption committee focused on helping to prepare students for success in advanced college-level math. This adoption work is closely tied to ensuring college and career readiness, including connections to our STEM and CTE programming. At this point, I'm going to turn over our presentation to Ms. Kathy Trosvig to talk about the actual process.
Hello. The current pre-calculus materials were adopted in 2012. And during the 2021 school year, the pre-calculus teachers met to hopefully look at new curriculum, but ultimately decided that they couldn't move forward with any change at that time. So we then again met in the spring of 2024, all the pre-calculus teachers in the district, which was really great, to discuss the current materials and how we can update them to meet the Common Core standards, instructional best practices. So we were moving forward with this course of pre-calculus, which is a 4th-year high school math course. Students have the opportunity to earn college credit through college in the high school, and it acts as a springboard for a lot of our AP Calculus and AP Statistics students. This course builds upon and extends the concepts introduced in our advanced algebra courses, emphasizing deeper application and understanding. Our adoption team consisted of all 6 pre-calculus teachers at our comprehensive high schools, along with a director from the LITS team and myself. And we first began our work by engaging in a structured process of professional learning to guide the adoption efforts. Teachers reviewed a lot of data. We looked at demographic data of what our kids currently in their classes. We looked at historical enrollment. We looked at what happens post pre-calculus, where our students are going, and then we looked at research and guidance on best practices for this level of class. We examined several key documents to help guide our process. We looked at the district's math vision. We looked at a document that aligned the standards for math practice with pre-calculus content. We looked at the Everett Community College syllabus. And we looked at a research paper from the NCTM National Council of Math Teachers on selecting appropriate curriculum materials for math. These resources help us define what we put on for our appendix for when we're reviewing the books. So we began the process and we had 6 main books that we were looking at. And ultimately we narrowed it down to 3 publishers. The ones at the top that are circled, CPM, Agile Minds, and McGraw-Hill. And we used those 3 books for our field testing. The materials were field tested over 8 weeks of time, right after winter break. We also gave our staff and community members the opportunity to review the materials, which we shared via the district website, using Facebook, Instagram, newsletters. There was really limited feedback we got from our community, but we think this was likely due to that small subset of students that are in pre-calculus, and also that it's an advanced course. It might make some parents and community members less comfortable reviewing the curriculum. So after all of that, we came to a recommendation for our pre-calculus, and our recommendation is pre-calculus 3rd edition, CPM educational program, print and digital curriculum. It aligns really nicely with our college and the high school syllabus from Everett Community College, and it aligns nicely with the Common Core and standards for mathematical practice. Here are some of the reasons why we chose this instructional material with our team. We felt like it encouraged student collaboration and helping to build the essential 21st century skills.
It provides a balanced approach to developing fluency, so it's more than just efficiency. It's about efficiency, flexibility in thinking, and accuracy. And we also thought it offered a wide range of instructional strategies and routines that would help support a more diverse learner in our pre-calculus classes, which is what we wanted to encourage with this new adoption. All current pre-calculus teachers were actively involved in field testing all 3 instructional materials and completed detailed feedback surveys. While our community feedback, as I mentioned before, was limited, we had over 850 student surveys returned to our committee that offered valuable insight to those students who are directly engaged with using the materials. So that was really helpful. One comment a teacher said is, "These materials are the first I've seen that truly emphasize the practices we aim to nurture in our students and classrooms: critical thinking, mathematical discourse, and perseverance." Student feedback also supported those thoughts, with students making remarks like, "It was a new experience for me, but I found that I had been more focused on my learning rather than just finding the answer." And one that our teachers in particular liked that students said is, "We spend more time talking about the math than actually doing the math." So teachers felt that these reflected with their instructional vision, one in which students are not only performing calculations, but are also engaged in meaningful discussions and develop a deep understanding of the mathematical concepts. So now I'm going to have Dr. Boughton talk about implementation costs and support.
So again, when we take a look at our curriculum implementation costs, the student edition and 1-year digital license for about 525 textbooks is about $47,250. The team felt very strongly that an adoption recommendation that they proposed to you needed to include both a book and a digital textbook. One of the reasons being is that there are some students who really prefer that the digital piece where they're submitting things online and there's all integrated components of it, but there are still some students who feel more comfortable with that textbook. So having that option provides us that leeway to meet the students' needs where they are. Additionally, we took a look at how many students on average in the last several years took pre-calculus, and it ranged anywhere from about 402 or 420 to about 530. So 525 textbooks is our initial purchase, and then if we wind up growing pre-calculus, then we will be able to do additional purchases as students are needing those pieces. Additional digital licenses are $20 per year per student, and that's based on the student enrollment and subsequent years. So we may have 450 students next year. The year after that, we may have 500 students, so we'll adjust the costs of our budgeted amounts to ensure that we can provide that for our students. The teacher edition and 6-year digital license is about $3,465. And that cost total for those pieces are about $50,000. To highlight, trainings are free by the publisher, and what we're paying for with those, the teacher edition, the teacher materials, and that initial training is really just teacher time to engage in that. So it's part of the training costs are included in this one. And then you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, the teacher implementation training. Doing some foundationals for core connections. This is a smaller subset of teachers using this. So our initial training will be in a virtual modality. Planning for pre-calculus units 1 and 2 will also be virtual, but there will be continuous support for our teachers as they begin to implement in bi-monthly unit planning, and that's an in-person training for the cost of $18,300. So total cost over the implementation years is about just under $70,000. This is a budgeted amount that we have allocated for that, and we're excited to be able to present that recommendation to you. So again, we talk about the sustainability of professional learning. It's critically important that we don't just do a one and done training. We want our teachers to engage with one another. We want them to engage with the publisher and trainers so that they know how to implement this. And as always, as we have ongoing, we may hire new teachers. There may be new teachers who pick up sections of this. So we want to make sure that we're providing opportunities to professionally develop them so that they're offering students high quality, rigorous instruction. So that initial use training is publisher-led, that Foundations of Core Connections, and we'll be doing planning for units 1 and 2 in June. August, and again, if there's a repeat in September, if teachers don't have that opportunity to do that then. And then ongoing professional learning. And this also includes some opportunities to go and see other districts that may be engaging in this. For example, some school visits in the Mukilteo School District where they're using this as their pre-calculus curricula. In the spring, we'll be able to do that if this is approved by the board. And then it really factoring in some opportunities for creating readiness to implement the units of instruction with those bi-monthly meetings for unit planning. Teachers really appreciate the opportunity to get together with other content area specific teachers, develop some of their skills, talk and question, hey, how did you do this? What strategies did you use? How did you do this cool down? Those kinds of things. And then finding some opportunities for the blended learning experience, both in person and virtual learning, to support those professional needs for teachers. And then again, we'll be working through a 3-year professional learning and support by the publisher. That's included in the cost. It'll be on digital platform usage, differentiation, assessments, and student discourse. Because one of the selling points of this curricula is how are we engaging students in mathematical language and mathematical talk. Really, really critical to the success of lifelong learners and preparing them for post-secondary opportunities. So again, when we have standards, align, adopted curricula, and differentiated core instruction for each student, this really supports our strategic plan, allowing us to both identify and remove barriers for authentic learning and high expectation for our diverse learners, but also it establishes that district-wide expectation for instructional time, helps to foster positive master schedules that meet students' needs, and course offerings that prepare them for college and career readiness. And when our amazing teaching staff can use rigorous and standards-aligned instructional materials and engage students in powerful learning, we can accomplish out those priority student outcomes in both math achievement, but more specifically in ensuring our students are prepared to succeed in both college and career. So at this time, we would invite the board to share any questions or comments that they have about the process for this recommendation of curriculum materials.
Thank you. Are there any questions, Director Revelinsky?
Thank you, Dr. Bowden. Just a really quick question. I'm curious. I'm thinking about the students that take these classes or these courses that have a pretty significant virtual component, and I wonder, as you're determining your recommendation, do you think about how it integrates with the new student information system or not?
Yes, and it's one of the reasons that we have a member from the Learning Information Technology Services team to help us to navigate, to ensure that we can not only integrate it into Canvas, which is our student platform, but also it will integrate with our student information system. We also have a process within the 2311P, the board procedure, that outlines digital tool review. That is part of the checks and balances that we do when we are doing any adoption, and particularly with this one, when we have digital and text resources, we want to ensure that we can buy something that can be implemented on the system and the hardware that we have.
Thank you.
You bet.
Other questions, Director Herman?
Yeah, actually, the review, I think is really smart. I imagine most textbooks these days, that really would be a needed option if they're gonna be selling their product, and not only does it need to align with the standards, but what we're offering our students. Is the online a duplicate, or are there any additional exercises, or is it literally just a copy of the textbook?
I might actually defer to Ms. Trosvig, who might be able to give some very specifics about that, but my understanding is that it is coordinated and aligned with the textbook. Ms. Trosvig?
It is the textbook plus. So
Okay.
it is the actual textbook, like if a kid didn't want to bring their book home, that kind
Right.
of thing. But then there's other things about math notes, there's supports and tutoring, there's a parent section. So it does provide a lot more than just a copy of the book. It's other supports to help students be successful.
Fantastic. I feel that's where we're going in educational materials. So that's terrific. No, this is fantastic. We want to give our teachers the best tools for them to do their best work. And I also think your presentation tonight highlights the thorough process that we have here in Everett on curriculum adoption. All the research that goes into it, the field testing, And student feedback, I know students are honest. So that's the whole process sort of gives a lot of confidence that that we're going with the best product. So thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. And while we may not have had a lot of community feedback, we had a lot of student feedback. And you're right, they are very honest about what they prefer, what they like. But it's pretty compelling when you have students say, one of the quotes that we had here was, we talk more about the math than talk about the answers with mathematics, right? And really getting kids to thoughtfully engage in high-level mathematical thinking is pretty priceless to see. So it is worth all the blood, sweat, and tears that this team put into it. And it's a rigorous process, but our students deserve it.
Students?
Yeah, I remember taking pre-calculus, and I think I was interviewed too, like all my thoughts, and it's kind of weird, like I agree with some student feedback that it was kind of a weird like middle course. So I'm glad we're seeing improvements, and all the new material looks great, and I like that it's physical textbooks too. I think I personally prefer like physical stuff, but I'm glad you can use the digital too. And then I was also wondering if this ties in any way into the addition of AP pre-calculus.
The standards should align, and we look very intentionally at what's coming down the pike. The calculus classes that we offer for college and the high school, and I will invite Ms. Trosvig again if there is something specific that I am missing about our AP Calc. But these courses are intended to provide a foundational learning so that students will be successful in those calculus classes. But I defer to the calculus expert.
We did in our spring meeting talk about AP pre-calculus. Right now, our district teachers did not feel it was well developed enough to just jump into it. We want to wait for it to be around for a couple of years to be fully developed. But the nice thing about AP pre-calculus is it's not tied to a specific book. So our book could easily, when we are ready to move into that AP pre-calculus, we could do that. But we really think it's kind of a little underdeveloped right now by College Board, and we don't want to just jump in to be one of the first people to do it just to say we're doing it and not do it well. So the potential is there. It's just not yet.
Cool, that's good to know. Thank you.
I haven't taken pre-calculus yet, so I don't really have much thoughts about this, so I'll come back to you next year.
Thank you, sounds good. We'll take your feedback whenever you're ready.
Well, and I appreciate the reminder, because when I looked at this, I'm like, I thought we did pre-calculus several years ago. And then I saw the 2002 date. I'm like, well, we did it before then. But again, that cooking of the curriculum, 3 years, maybe it's baked and ready for us.
The curriculum review they initiated 3 years ago. What they did is they went and they reviewed the materials that were available and ready. The problem is the materials did not provide anything substantially more than what we already offered with our older curricula. And so we put that on hold and we deferred that until we knew that there would be additional curricula available, and it was well worth the wait.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. So thank you so much. And I apologize, I was remiss in asking for an advisory vote for music. And so I'm going to take an advisory vote from our students for the pre-calculus curriculum.
I approve.
Thank you.
I do too.
Thank you so much. Okay, so is there any objection to adopting this item by general consent for the first reading? Seeing none, then this is moved to second reading.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for allowing us to present this evening.
Thank you. That takes us to section 16.0, upcoming agenda items. Dr. Saltzman, what is planned for our upcoming meetings?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Directors of the Public. But before I get to that, I do want to compliment the students tonight for your input, especially someone that's never saw pre-calculus in his high school career. Your input really meant a great deal, and I do mean that. And to the music teachers, thank you for staying through the whole meeting tonight. Thank you so much. At the April 29th special meeting, directors will attend strategic progress monitoring session number 4. At the May 1st special meeting, directors will attend the high school art show reception. At our regular meeting on May 13th, 2025, the board agenda contains the following: P5 science curriculum adoption first reading, pre-calculus curriculum adoption second reading, P5 music curriculum adoption second reading, ASB budget presentations, always something to look forward to, authorization to issue contracts, the Northwest Regional Learning Center Agreement, the Sonoma's Discovery Program Agreement, and the Gersh Academy Agreement. Thank you, Madam Chair of the Board of Directors.
Thank you. That takes us to section 17.0, executive or closed session. There is none for this meeting. Takes us to section 18.0, adjournment. This concludes the April 22nd, 2025 regular meeting of the Everett Public Schools Board of Directors. This meeting is now adjourned.